Does he even get to shower? He hates that robot. Probably because it's a better father to Toby than him. Coming to think you're a robot, that's crazy. If you know me, you know my first favorite movie, Tomorrowland 2015, featuring George Clooney. But if you also know me, you know my second favorite movie, Astroboy, the 2009 remastered version. Now, I've not sat down to do a commentary movie review in quite some time. I think the last one I did was 4 years ago, but I'm back today for the movie of a lifetime. Today we were talking about how Frankenstein and the paradox of Theseus' ship relates to Astroboy 2009. But first, as of any good movie, I'm going to tell you the plot, or like the most important parts of the plot, then we're going to get into the nitty gritty, because if you haven't seen if you haven't seen Astroboy 2009, watch this video, then open up Tubi, which is free, type in Astroboy and you get to watch it. Actually, I'm going to put the link in the description because everyone should watch the masterpiece of this movie. Back to the point. So, we have in my notes here, we have Metro City and the surface. This is sort of reminiscent of Arcane, Topside and the Undercity. Then again, I haven't actually watched Arcane. Not like that. I got to episode 3. But more importantly, the Undercity and the surface are both thought to be riffraff, ragamuffin. Like, you guys are poor because of the things the surface has done to you, because of the things Metro City has done to you. But we are removing all of that context from the situation, and you guys are just street rat vermin. Whoa, that was a little open stage. We have Dr. Tenma, the father of modern robotics. Emphasis on modern, that's important to the plot. Metro City is actually Mount Sophia on Earth. Imagine WALL-E with all the destruction and trash and pollution. Honestly, imagine our world like 10 years from now. That is the setting of Astro Boy. Then Metro City is Mount Sophia lifted up. And then Metro City became Metro City 1 century ago. In that century, there were 2 robotic ages. There was the old age and the modern age. The modern age is the age Dr. Tenma was able to introduce to society. Dr. Tenma is about 40 or 50 only because Toby, his son, is like 13-ish. He goes to high school and the only reference to his age is that like he's about 13. So I'm going to assume he's in the 13, 14, 15 age range. If he's 13, that makes everything sadder. Like I said, there were 2 robotic ages. The earlier robots are more durable, they're stronger, and they don't have the 3 laws of robotics, which is one of my favorite niches, #iRobot. The 3 laws of robotics are that like you have to listen to humans, you can't hurt humans, and like you're not supposed to hurt yourself. But let's like that's the 3rd law. They don't really care about that one. First law is like robots must obey humans. The older age of robots were not made with this in mind. Yeah, I mean, like, that's sort of important to the plot, but I'm not going to talk about the second half of the movie because you guys should watch it, and it's really not important to the plot. Tenma was definitely not a teen father. Tenma is a man who cares about his career to the utmost max. This is a guy who, he shouldn't have even been a father. This is a man who truly should have just been locked in a lab his entire life. There is a similarity to WALL-E, but humans have not lost their empathy. So imagine a robotic utopia in the image of a utopia, you know, because they are still like all of their trash, all their robotic waste is still going down to the surface. So the surface is covered in piles and piles of, and that's completely the fault of Metro City. So all the people on the surface are scavengers. Next, your daddy's son. Toby is an expert in physics, level 5 physics as a high schooler. I'm going to assume he's a freshman because people say 13 to 15 guys. What? But yeah, mind you, the scene opens with them watching a presentation of Dr. Tenma. They like, Toby, ain't that your daddy? And you're like, yeah, that's my dad. And then they do a pop quiz. He speeds through level 5 physics, 4-dimensional physics. What are we talking about? You want a science Olympiad? You gotta get Toby Tenma. He's stubborn. He's stubborn to boot. Now, I have watched this movie around 4 or 5 times, maybe 6 even. And there are definitely things I've realized and watched like throughout. After the pop quiz, Toby is taken, or like Toby gets into his car, and instead of his father taking him home, he has his robot, I guess, servant, butler, Oren takes him to the car. He sits in the car and he's immediately just like disappointed, you know? He sags, he's like, that's because his father was supposed to take him to a symposium on quantum mechanics. Toby is visibly frustrated. Toby is disappointed when he enters the car because he knows his father won't actually be there. His father is there as a hologram. I am here as All Might. He knows his father isn't going to be there. There were 2 theories that I initially had when I like watched the movie for the second time. One, Toby, or actually no, this is going to make sense later, but like the theory I'm going to mention now is that Tenma does not know his son. Tenma doesn't know a thing about his son. That's important. Toby tries to earn praise from his father. He talks about the pop quiz. He's like, oh yeah, he tried us, but like I sped through it. Like, aren't I your son? And Tenma's like, I mean, yeah, you are my son. Onward and upward. Like, that's just expected. Why should I praise you? Wow. Okay, Toby is brushed off. He doesn't call him father. Another mystery mouse tool. Toby calls him sir. He doesn't say dad, he doesn't say father, he says sir. And we can see more disappointment on his face. After that, Tenma's like, I can't take you to the symposium, I have to meet the president because I'm the Minister of Science and we're doing a little presentation, we're doing the Peacekeeper. Toby's like, oh my gosh, the Peacekeeper? Like, I have to see this. He's like, no, you're going home. Then Toby is supposed to be sent home, but he hacks into his nanny bot and then sends him back to the ministry. Okay, at the ministry, Toby infiltrates the demonstration of the Peacekeeper, and he was supposed to get in, but he's too smart. The president is a very insecure man. The 13-year-old shows up the president and he's like, no one likes a smarty pants, hashtag Hermione Granger. And then they send him into a closet and he's locked in there instead of going to the demonstration, or so you would think. Now, the president wants a reason for re-election focused on violence, and the Peacekeeper, which is like the robot they were unveiling, there are two types of energy that are supposed to like fuel it. There's the blue core, which is most similar to the arc reactor. If you've ever seen Marvel, I don't know, like, if how are you alive if you haven't seen Marvel? Me, 2020, back to the point. So it's most similar to the arc reactor. It is a remnant from space. It is clean energy. It is infinitely cleaner than nuclear energy. It's self-sustaining. It is literally the arc reactor. Astroboy came out in like the 1990s. I don't know which is older, Marvel or... It doesn't matter, but there's a bad side. There's the red core, which is like the Mind Stone. It's like the scepter from Avengers, but it's like, it's all the negative energy. It's like a black hole. It just sucks things in. So the president says, yo, I'm not here for no goody goody. I'm not here to clean the world. I'm not here for no World Health Organization. I'm here for war. I need a reason that's gonna get me reelected. And the people, the ladies love red. He said that. So they put the red core into the Peacekeeper, and obviously it goes out of whack. The Peacekeeper is meant for peace, but you've put war inside his heart. You've got war in your heart, boy. Back to the point. The president's like, you think you scientists only have the brain? We do only have the brain because the Peacekeeper is like out of whack. He's tearing everything up. Boom. They slide a shut down. Okay, the Peacekeeper is held behind one door. Daddy! Toby is behind the door. As most children's first brush with death, Toby dies. He is vaporized instantly by a blast from the red core. My only like plot owner thing is like, Toby is instantly vaporized. There's not a single trace of him left, but the hat he was wearing is fine. And there's even one singular hair left in the hat. That blast got hot enough to vaporize a human body, but the hat was fine. Stop playing with me, Ryan. Yeah, Toby dies. Horrible way to go. He also calls him dad when he's dying. Toby often calls Dr. Tenma sir in casual conversations, or in like the 10 minutes of screen time that we see him do it. We have to assume that Toby was most likely to call Tenma sir rather than dad. Mystery mouse tool for later. Tenma goes crazy, and Dr. Elephant, who is also there, he's like, if you lose your son like that and you don't go crazy, you're not human. So Tenma goes crazy and immediately starts to work on a robotic copy of Toby. Honestly, he's always been more comfortable with robots than like humans. I think he should have just let his son die. And if you think that sounds harsh, like, oh my gosh, he's grieving, he should have stayed grieving. Now, like I said, there is one strand of DNA in that hat, and it's a hair. Tenma uses that hair, synthesizes the robot copy, imbues the DNA into Toby. So now it looks like Toby. Now it's not just metallic, it looks like Toby. He uses the DNA to input memories of Toby. Now it thinks, emphasis on it. Tenma calls it an it. Calls him an it. It thinks it's Toby. Okay. Midoriya Zukumenshim. A little DNA from hair. Oh. From the moment he starts working on it, he hardly uses the correct pronouns for Astro. And I'm gonna switch to using Astro because Toby was a human boy. He is mourning his son and he's trying to fill that void. But trying to fill that void with anyone when you are mourning never helps. Like, it's never going to work. Tenma just doesn't realize it because he thinks he is this great inventor or scientist. He's just not a good father. Toby wakes up in it's alive portion, the Frankenstein. He is hooked up to a bunch of electrical cables, shocked with a bunch of electricity, and boom, he's alive, he's awake. He takes his cute little first steps. I thought that was so cute. He takes his first steps to Tenma. He holds him. He's like, I have to go spend time with it. No, with Toby, with my son. Okay. First of all, Toby, Astro wakes up in the lab and doesn't mention the lack of clothes. He's not wearing anything. To strike one for how many rocks are in Toby's brain, and by the end of this he will have enough rocks to light a fire. He is the modern day Prometheus, Frankenstein mentioned, but he's dumb. He is so dumb. Tenma switches to using he for Astro, doesn't last, and I'll explain Showergate later. More importantly, we have Freak Tenma. There are stylistic differences between the hair, Toby and Astro. In the first shot of the movie, because obviously I've watched this 5 times, when you look at it, Toby has very like hyper realistic strands. It looks like hair. It like, you can tell it's a dark brown and you can tell it mimics Tenma's hair. But when you see Astro, his hair literally looks like metal, and it's very obvious. Not to, I guess, the people in the movie, but like to the viewers, it's animated in a way to make it uncanny. And they even kind of mention it in the film when like a robot's like, oh, is that hair or horns? And he's like, it's just gel. No, it's just metal. There are also expressions that Toby has often found in the 10 minutes of screen time he had. He is smug, he is confident, he feels like a natural person. But as you go later into the movie, you see Astro using like different expressions and things we've never seen Toby like do, you know? So like there's more of a disconnect as 2 separate entities, because they are people. They are 2 people. Tenma would like to tell you that Astro is not a person. After all the work he did into him, my father, Hezekiah Steve. Too many references. He also tells Toby that he is going to homeschool him. He doesn't have to go to school anymore. Toby, dumb as rocks, is like, oh my gosh, thanks dad. Like, I'd love to spend more time with you. Astro, you cannot go to school because you are legally dead. And Tenma is doing a very illegal thing. This is so illegal. Like, you can't even reverse the death certificate like in a vigilante Midoriya Zukufic. You cannot even reverse the death certificate because he's not alive. Astro's just not Toby. Tenma learns that soon enough. Oh, also, like I said, Tenma doesn't like robots. He is father of modern robotics. He doesn't like robots. Or more importantly, he just doesn't like Oren. Oren, which is Toby Astronow's nanny bot. So Tenma doesn't think much of Oren's individuality. Oren is a very individualistic like robot. He has his own personality. He has his like sort of own thoughts. Like, I feel like just living with Toby long enough, he has developed his own sort of characteristics that isn't a typical robots don't have because of how long he spent around Toby, and maybe because of how much Toby has tinkered with his programming. Like, Toby is seen to not care at all about like the morality or ethicalness of just like messing around with Oren's like programming. So I wouldn't be surprised if he has so much individuality because Toby has done something to him, or just like being around him. You know, people isn't nature versus nurture, even with robots. As the father of modern robotics, he doesn't really act like one. There's always disgust and disdain in his eyes when he looks at Oren or any of the machines. He just like, there's so much hate, bro. Like, how could you be father of robotics and hate what you've created? Oh, there was a Pinterest quote about God. That was niche. Now there's a study montage. Tenma wants to connect with his son the only way he knows how, and that's through intelligence. Tenma offers 4D calculus as their study method. Astro is not too interested. He doesn't really want to do this, but he wants to impress. He wants to impress and spend time with his father. Oren tries to offer his help because he knows Toby doesn't want to do this. It's obvious on his face. The amount of disgust in his eyes. Like, I'm sorry. Tenma hates Oren. He doesn't even call him by his name. He calls him the robot. Oren is nothing more than a piece of scrap metal in his eyes. He hates that robot. Probably because it's a better father to Toby than him. Toby always liked Oren. Like, there was so much fondness in his eyes when he looks at him. But it's like, it's so startling seeing Tenma look at just like any robots. Astro does the physics, does the calculus, and then he's like, you haven't seen anything yet. And then he does like a Desmos. He has all the equations make different shapes, and they do like a programmed dance and everything, and it sings a song. And I'm like, wow, your son is creative. He hates it. Tenma looks at him like, I don't even know who you are. Yo, Tenma's just such a bad father. He says, okay, let's try something else, you know? And then he brings up 4 dusty books. Dusty. Ooh, that's actually a really good point. These are dusty big books on Kant. And then Tenma mentions, oh, you love these books. These were your favorite books. You asked me to read them to you every single night when you were younger. So first of all, they're so dusty. He hasn't asked again. Okay. Number 2, Astro is like, that wasn't really, because it is obvious that it's not Toby's favorite book, but instead a way for him to get attention from his dad, and Tenma has put so little thought into that, he doesn't notice, and he doesn't care. Then there's Hatgate. He leaves Toby with the books. Astro's like, I'm not reading this. Goes to a book, it's Da Vinci's planes. Then the 2 of them start making airplanes. Him and Oren are bantering. Oren has the hat on, it's cute, and something goes wrong. Tenma comes in, a paper airplane hits him. He's like, I told you to read these books, not destroy them. And then Oren comes up, he's like, I'm sorry, sir, like, we were just having a little fun, I sort of encouraged him. Tenma sees that hat on Oren, ballistic. He goes ballistic. Dumbledore said calmly, and I quote, he says, a robot should not be wearing my son Toby my son M dash Toby's hat. This is the start of the separation in Tenma's mind. Toby and his son are not the same person. There's cognitive dissonance, and even his statement proves it. He doesn't think of his son and Toby as the same person. And even with that statement, a robot should not be wearing my son's hat. He even knows it. He even knows it. He needs to be grieving Toby. But Astro's already made. And Astro's still here. So then, this is how I explained Shower Game. When I first was showing this movie to my friends, I was so confused. Like I said, Astro was made and like he just appeared naked, right? But he had boots on and he had like shorts on. And these boots are not like, they're not shoes, they're his actual feet. And I was like, how would Astro not realize he's a robot when he has to go take a shower and he tries to take off these boots and he can't take off these boots? And then I was thinking, wait a minute. Does he even get to shower? Does he even get to shower? He wakes up and I don't even think he gets to shower in this apartment before he's sent away. And that is Showergate. Tenma does not even make it 24 hours with Astro before being like, oh, I have to deactivate him. I have to send him away. This is not my son. And you're right, it's not your son. He says brilliant as Toby was, but he's strange. He's very, very strange. The only thing Toby and Astro have in common is their intelligence, because the only thing a robot, a machine, and our artificial intelligence could copy. If the theory was that Astro was fundamentally different, it would be due to the fact that he looks at the memories that he has with an ice cold eye. All logic, it's all rational. He has all of Toby's memories, but he doesn't have the emotional responses that are tied to those memories, because how could you imbue emotions into a machine? Maybe the machine could make its, obviously the AI could probably, Astro can make his own emotions. He can feel things, but how can he feel things about things he's never felt? You know, he's still a machine at the end of the day. No amount of love and trust is going to change that. He doesn't have the nervous system. He doesn't have the hormones. He doesn't have the biology. He can definitely feel things or sympathize, right? Make it a similar feeling, but he can't feel what Toby felt. Theory 2, which was the more likely theory. Tenma doesn't know a thing about his son, especially with the fact that the only thing he could credit is his brain. The only thing Toby ever had to try and relate to his father with was his intelligence. But Toby is clearly a very creative mind. With the way he was doing the Desmos, with the way he was making the paper airplanes, these are not typical paper airplanes. I'm talking, these genuinely looked like the Wright brothers, like airplanes made of paper. You have such a creative son, but you're so ice cold. You're cold, Tenma. So that's Tenma's side. Toby was sent to his room. He's in his room and he finds out he can understand robots. He's like, how can I understand you guys? Again, he's dumb as rock. He's like, how can I understand you guys? He accidentally falls out a window and boom, the flight boosters in his boot, his legs, propulsion. And he gets to fly around. He punches through solid rock. He has x-ray vision. He has lasers out of his butt. And Toby thinks he's Superman. He thinks he's like, I don't know, a meta, instead of the more realistic option for being bionic. Coming to think you're a robot, that's crazy. I'm sorry. Like, I would never be like, if like I had all my memories and I thought it was me and it felt like skin, I'm not gonna think I'm a robot. But bionic, lab rats, I could understand. I'm like, oh, something happened. Like, he even asked him, oh, was I sick or something? It just makes sense. It would make more sense for you to be bionic than having woke up and developed a quirk. Lock in. Misunderstanding gate, Astro goes back home. Tenma is there with Dr. Elephant and he's like, yo, I need you to deactivate him and take him out of my sight. Dr. Elephant's like, you can't talk about him like that. He's your own son. Tenma's like, that's not my son. I don't know who that is. Toby walks in and he's like, yo, why are you talking about me like this? Dr. Elephant's like, yo, there's been a misunderstanding. You're not actually an ordinary boy. Toby's like, I know. I can do all these magical things. I'm like so cool and I'm so wonderful. They're talking above him. Tenma's like, I can't keep listening to this. I can't have him here. Dr. Elephant is like, he's programmed with the memories of your own son. Toby's like, programmed? Tenma's like, I lost Toby and I made you. But it's a mistake. Toby asks, why don't you love me anymore? Tenma's like, I just don't want you anymore. We hate Tenma. We hate him. We hate him. Tenma is such a sickening man. He sickens me. Anyway, that is like all the plot that was literally like most relevant to what I was gonna mention. But after this, Toby flies off. He ends up on the surface and he meets a bunch of surface freaks. That was actually a thing to mention. There's a lot of mechanized language in Metro City. I think it's really funny. May you rest in peace. Super cute. I'm so busted instead of like I'm so cooked or something. The president is genuinely one of the only people to continually address Astro as Tenma's boy. Every time he sees him, oh, that's Tenma's boy. That's Tenma's boy. That's Tenma's boy. How is your arch nemesis the only person? Like, That's Tenma, you're sick. You're sick. You're worse than sick. Astro deals with white privilege on the surface, and there's the annoying female lead trope. Korra, she did kind of have my heart later, but like I don't really like the way they wrote her. She was kind of like, I'm not like other girls because of like her tragic backstory, but I'm like, you could have made her more likable. He's like, oh yeah, the surface are ruins, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, it's not like what you're used to in Metro City. Astro is actually the worst person like talk about that. He's like the son of royalty. His father built Metro City. Hello? Don't talk to me. Son of Tony Stark over here. My favorite bit is with the robotic dog, and when Astro first sees him, he's like, what's it, boy? What was that? Someone's down a well. I love that bit. Astro is also disproportionate to every other person in the movie. Like, imagine the size difference between Steven and Connie. Astro's arm is genuinely the size of Korra's waist. Now, we are actually getting into things to answer, aka why was this so related to Frankenstein and Theseus' paradox? What is the parable of Theseus' ship? Ship of Theseus, also known as Theseus' paradox, is a paradox and common thought experiment about whether an object in the most common stating of the paradox, a ship, is the same object after having all of its original components replaced with others over time. The question is, who is Toby and who is Astro? Is Astro still Toby because he looks like Toby, has the memories of Toby, and genuinely was meant to replace Toby? Or is he something completely different? I'd say in this movie, it is like a common theme that he is not Toby anymore. He is Astro. He has a new name because the boy he was meant to replace cannot be replaced. You know, you cannot feel your grief with someone else. You must grieve. Is Astro not Toby because he's Astro, or is he not Toby because Tenma doesn't know Toby? Tenma doesn't know a single thing about what Toby would like, what Toby thinks about, what friends he has. Like, is Astro not Toby because of the 10 minutes of screen time we saw Toby in? Or is Astro not Toby because Tenma says he is very, very strange? He is nothing like his son. Do you even know your son? That's why we truly cannot say whether or not is Astro the original Toby. If we saw Toby for longer than 10 minutes, could we discern whether or not Astro truly is Toby? He has all his memories, and you would assume he acts like Toby. He has to act like Toby. How could a computer go against its programming? I would say Astro is probably the most alive version of Toby we're ever gonna see. Tenma doesn't know a thing about his son, and every time he's in his presence, he's either disappointed, frustrated, or just plain ignored. Like, Toby is so free when he's Astro. And the question is, what are we if not memories? Are we shaped by what we know or by what we have experienced? Although Astro is meant to be Toby, he doesn't operate the same way, and we can chalk this up to his photographic memory. It allows him to view anything or everything in a cold, clinical, rational, logical. That's one of the theories. Astro is not Toby because he does not respond to all of his memories in the same way Toby would. But we are also basing this off the assumption that Tenma knows his son enough to know when the robot is not acting like Toby. I can't trust a single thing Tenma says, so that's why in my opinion Astro is Toby. He's still Astro, but he's going to be the most alive version of Toby we're ever gonna see. Next, woke people will say Frankenstein isn't the monster. Woker people say Frankenstein is the monster, just as Dr. Tenma is as well. In Shelley's original work, Victor Frankenstein discovers a previously unknown but elemental principle of life, the blue core, and that insight allows him to develop a method to imbue vitality into an inanimate matter. Through the exact nature of the process is left ambiguous, similar to the way that Tenma refuses to use Astro's name, though he doesn't know it. A better example would be to, like, he doesn't use the correct pronouns to him, he just calls him the robot, he calls him an it, he just doesn't think of Astro as someone with consciousness. Or even just like not thinking of Astro as his son. This could be compared to the plight of the creature made by Victor. He who is referred to as wretch and monster, he who was made with no purpose. A quote by John Milton's Paradise Lost referenced by Mary Shelley is, "Did I request thee, maker, from my clay to bemold me man? Did I solicit thee from darkness to promote me?" A more modern example would be Lemon Grab for Adventure Time. There was an edit I watched which, like, it didn't inspire this video, but it did help me inform it. It was with Lemon Grab. It was Creep acoustic version. I think it might have been the Glee version. Lemon Grab showing Bubblegum the paper and it said "Unmake Me," and it was like being sour in a world of sweet. And it's like being seen by your creator and you see their flaws and are now made fallible. What do you do when witnessing your own creator is your apple from Eden? The apple from Eden is often thought of the first original sin, but also the apple of knowledge. It gave people the understanding of right and wrong. What do you do when your understanding of right and wrong and flaws and everything that is wrong in the world is witnessing your creator dislike you? What do you do when that image you've built up is shattered by the person who made you? And that is even further representation of the plight of generational trauma. Like, it's literally just parenthood. Children think of their parents as their god. Children internalize that. They don't externalize that. When bad things happen to children, they think it's their fault. Anyway, Astro is literally Fern. Fern is effectively punished for having the memories of Finn and acting like him, acting close to his friends. But when he looks for comfort, all they see is a monster. All Tenma sees is a mistake. Astro did not ask to be made. He is simply a victim of a man who could not deal with his grief. A comment from another edit sums it up. It is, are you my dad in every universe? No, but you'll always be the robot I built out of grief. In the 2002 version, in the 2007 version, in the 2009 version, it is always Tenma's mistakes in getting Toby killed that leads to the creation of Astro. Maybe Tenma should just go to therapy. Some might ask why Pinocchio is not in the title. Pinocchio isn't an example because the old man actually wanted Pinocchio. That's raps. Tenma is Frankenstein in the way that Victor is the monster. Thank you guys for watching. I love Astroboy. Link is gonna be in the description. Please, please, please watch the movie. It is beautiful. It is amazing. It changed my life. I actually watched it a 6th time to make this video. And my source for any of the like quotes or thesis paradox or Frankenstein, Wikipedia, because I'm not making a college video.